Today, I'm going to break down exactly how you could buy crypto anonymously. This is really important, and you're going to want to buckle up and strap in for this because everything that happened recently with the central banks, and I did a video talking about that yesterday, about the central banks and what's happening, what's going to be changing, and basically banks worldwide attacking crypto, not just with taxes, but also chain of custody banks being able to take control of your crypto, also the new regulations for the exchanges, also the new regulations for crypto. Now, I've broken this down a lot, but today we're going to break down what you need to do if you want to keep your crypto safe, secure, and invisible. Step-by-step tutorial, so you're going to want to buckle up. And the other thing you're going to want to do is understand that a lot has changed in the crypto market. Now, there's a lot of value, there's a lot of good things going on. Obviously, we're getting ready to bust out in a boom market. We got the bull market busting forward. But also, you know, you've got a lot of people trying to get their piece of the pie. You've got massive amounts of people hacking and stealing crypto at record numbers. You've got people doing extortion for crypto at record numbers. And you've got governments getting involved seizing crypto at record numbers. So you need to kind of sidestep all that and lock your stuff up safely and securely. I've talked a lot about hardware wallets, and hardware wallets are great. It is one option. But what you don't seem to understand is the federal government can track all the way to your hardware wallet. So they can say, okay, they went from this bank account to this exchange to this exchange. They did this, and this, and then it disappeared in the hardware wallet. And even the hardware wallet's going to have an off-ramp. And then you could say, well, my wallet fell in the ocean. And they're going to say, I don't care. You're paying taxes anyway. Like, they don't care. They just simply don't care. And you're going to have to prove it, and you're not going to be able to prove it. And this is the problem a lot of people don't seem to understand, is they think they're going to trick the government with this stuff, and they've already got regulations in place with this. So it's just simply, it'd kind of be like if I owed $1 million in taxes and I went to the government and said, I lost it at the casinos. You know, I got a bunch of losses. Or if I bought a bunch of stuff that I, tried to write off, and they're like, oh, you just lost it. So this is not really going to work the way you think. And so becoming invisible is vital. So today in Operation Crypto Privacy. All right, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you check out the first link down below. We're going to get a business going for you right now. I think we only have a couple of slots left, so I appreciate all you guys' support. I know a lot of you guys are signing up because we're cranking out businesses for you guys, blowing up so you can quit your job right now over the next couple of months. A lot of people who've been signing up are quitting their jobs, and a lot of people will be because you don't need them anymore with the business. Check out the first link down below. Get rocking. Appreciate all your guys' support. And yeah, let's go into how this works. So you need to fully understand when you're doing this that you need to be invisible. So do not start something that's Johnson Investment Co. Do not start an LLC that's, Jordan's Financial Crypto Investments. You need to start it as a name. So how does this work? The first things first, you need an LLC. Everything you do as far as assets should be operated in an LLC. I think the one exception would be physical gold and silver, because you personally own and you hold that physical gold and silver. Other than that, every asset you have should be in an LLC. So all of your crypto, for example, should be in their own LLC. Now, you need an alias to do this. Now, if you guys don't know how to set all this up, there's about 5 ways that we make businesses, assets, and people a ghost, a literal ghost, on privacyxproject.com. And if you want us to just do all this for you, you can go check it out and we can actually take care of it. That way you don't have to go through all these steps. But for those of you who are more DIY and you want to go through these steps, that's why I'm going to give you everything right here so you can literally do it. First thing is the LLC. Where do you set up an LLC? I use a company called Wyoming Registered Agents. I've used them forever. However, we're going to want to set up a foreign trust. So you're going to need to also have a holding company and a trust. So I'm going to break that down in a second. But if you're domestic here in the United States, Wyoming is the best place. It's really the only place to set up an LLC. You get full anonymity. Of course, the government still can figure out who you are, but we're not worried about that yet. Okay, so hold with me for a second. Wyoming Registered Agents is where you want to go. Set up your LLC. What is the LLC? It needs to be the name of your alias. So my alias, let's say my alias was Wyatt Earp. I would have Wyatt Earp LLC. Then I can operate as Wyatt Earp. Obviously, I'm using the famous cowboy as an example, but it could be anything. You need to come up with your own alias, your own name. And you should be using an alias on the internet anyway. Your alias should not be Cat Moon Girl 632. And that's not a real thing. It needs to be an actual name, okay? And so let's say we used Wyatt Earp for the example of this. And then I would set up Wyatt Earp LLC in Wyoming. That might actually be taken because Wyatt Earp's pretty famous, but I'm doing an example. You guys get that. So Then what I would do is I would have this is what's called my operation company, and it is the forward-facing company on my exchanges. So at this point, it doesn't matter if you use an offshore exchange in Bahamas, or if I use crypto.com, or if I use Gemini, or if I use, Coinbase or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, because the new tracking that the central banks and the world governments are putting in place, offshore exchanges don't really have the pull, because what they've done is they've said, hey, know your customer laws. You're not allowed to work with American citizens, Canadian citizens, Australian citizens, or anybody in Europe if you don't have these rules in place. So there really is no anonymous exchanges anymore. So we've got our LLC, which is forward facing. The next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to have a holding company. Okay. Now, the great thing about holding companies is they can't be sued because they don't actually do any business. And if you've ever seen the Panama Papers and how some of these people structure, but they structured a little bit weak, to be honest. It was actually shocking when I saw the Panama Papers, how anti-creative some of these billionaires are. They actually don't do that great of a job. If you're an attorney or an accountant, which I know a lot of them watch my channel, then you'll understand what I'm talking about when it comes to creating these structures, because you probably already do that. And I know that, the people that I work with at Privacy X in our team, where we help create these things and we help structure all this stuff for our clients, it's kind of interesting how it's structured. So you've got the LLC, which is the forward-facing company. So it would be Wyatt Earp LLC owns the crypto, but it passes through to the holding company. The holding company kind of runs the funds and runs the money. But where we're going to put the stuff is we're going to put it in a basket, which the basket is going to be a trust, and the trust is going to be offshore. Now, there's several different countries you can utilize offshore, and you're going to have to research your laws based on your domicile. Your domicile is going to be the country you live in. Now, keep in mind, if you're a United States citizen, we technically have 50 domiciles, actually more than that, because we have a few territories, Puerto Rico, etc. But your core domicile is the United States, so you have to look at United States law. Now, again, we do all this for our clients. I can't tell you what the best country is offshore, because I don't know where you're located. Are you located in Australia? Are you located in Japan or England? It's going to vary. It's going to vary a lot. And this is why it's very important that you understand this, you get involved in this. But the top, I'll give you a place to start. Look at, obviously, countries like Switzerland. Look at countries like the Bahamas. Look at countries like Belize. Look at countries like Costa Rica. And, some people recently have been playing around with South Africa a little bit. Now, if we're only talking paper games, possible physical locations, I would not recommend it with everything that's going on. So there's a lot of different potential for where you could go. And again, there's a lot of really good countries that you could potentially utilize for your actual trust basket. And then what you're going to have is you're going to have what's called an operating company. So it's basically going to be a paper company that operates your empire, let's call it. And you could structure this whether you have $1,000 in crypto or $1 billion in crypto. It really doesn't matter. And you're going to have your operation where the money flows through. So you're going to have your forward-facing company, which is basically a shell. It is just a name. And what happens is your name shows up on these cards. And what you do, and here's the little trick, and I've been doing this for years. If you want to get your alias on a card, you'll get a second card, and you can get a second card in your name. So, for example, if my LLC was Wyatt Earp LLC, my main business card is going to say Wyatt Earp LLC, but I can also get a secondary card and I can put Wyatt Earp. Then I can legally use that as a card. Now, when they ask you for ID, it says corporate card on it, so you're good to go. And nobody, I do this in Vegas all the time. I'll give them my corporate card, which does not have my name on it, which does not match my ID. But since they're corporate card, they really don't care. And there's nothing they do about it. And I've done this thousands of times over the years. So you basically get a card in an alias's name. Now, I've done videos on how to get cards in alias's name and how to get anonymous debit and credit cards. Also, how I do offshore banking, which we get in depth with that on Privacy X with our clients. You guys can check that out. If not, you can watch those videos here on YouTube, and we break down how to get anonymous cards. But that's a little hack you can utilize to have a card in your alias's name, but it's your crypto card, and you can utilize that simply and effectively. And then what you're able to do is run everything through your operation company. So you can see here, we've got an LLC, which goes to your holding company. You've got your trust basket, and you've got a branch off for your operating company for expenditures. Now, what it does is it compartmentalizes everything in your company, and really the only company that can get sued is the main LLC, which is your alias, but it has no money in it more than just money that passes through, because an LLC is a pass-through entity, but it is also an asset protection vertical. And then what happens is, since you've compartmentalized everything, your LLC, your alias LLC owns nothing. Your holding company does no business, so it's really hard to sue a holding company because it does no business, and so you're not going to be able to pierce the corporate veil. You're going to have a foreign trust, and you're going to have a branch for an operations company that only pushes money through, but it doesn't actually conduct any business. This is how I've structured my entire life. And so if somebody were to sue me today, you would get laughed out of court. You'd be like, I thought this guy had money. Yeah, but this guy controls everything, right? And so the average millionaire and billionaire controls a little bit of money, but they have millions or billions in trusts and offshore companies and holding companies. That's where you keep all of your assets. You don't ever keep a single thing in your own name or plan to lose it, especially in today's litigious society. I mean, I recently saw, and this is not a joke, guys, I about fell out of my chair. Some person recently sued Pop-Tarts because they said the strawberry Pop-Tart doesn't have enough strawberries in it for millions and millions of dollars. It's kind of like the idiot who burnt their lip on a pickle at McDonald's, or the moron who spilled hot coffee on themselves and then sued. Hey, if you got coffee, don't spill it on yourself. And if you do, you're an idiot, right? So these are the kind of things you can get sued for, and a million other things you could deal with lawsuits. And so you deal with lawsuits, it's about controlling everything, owning nothing. Okay, and that's vital. And anybody with money will tell you the same thing. Everyone's like, I'm going to sue you for everything you got. You can't, because everything I got is going to be like 2 months worth of operating capital. Good luck. Have fun, bro. And it's no different than if you sued Michael Jordan, right? Some insurance payout and a couple of bucks, but everything he has, I guarantee, is worldwide trust. You wouldn't get 5 cents from him. So that's what people don't get. That's a broke person's mentality. So you've got to set up this structure so you have the ability to keep your crypto ghosts. Now, why would you do this? Well, can you figure out who owns the LLC? Well, that LLC is owned by the holding company, and the holding company is owned and managed by the trust. And so what they would do is they would skip that. They would go to the operations company, try to figure out who owns that, but the trust controls the operations company. Again, guys, this is paperwork. Don't get it twisted in your head. You have a mail drop overseas. I've got 3 mail drops overseas in foreign countries, which makes me, I have business locations in foreign countries because they're mail drops. I've got multiple LLCs in Nevada, Wyoming. I've got a corporation that I started in 2016 in Delaware, which I operate, which is kind of one of my main core corporations. And then I've got holding companies worldwide. Okay, and then I've got an international trust. So what's going to happen, even if the government tried to come after you? Now, could the government eventually get you? Yeah, but what did you do? They would take some serious resources to break this apart, because they would have to go from your company, okay, it's owned by this holding company. We have to figure out how to get a hold of the foreign nationals. And a lot of these foreign countries I'm talking about, unless you've committed a crime that affects them, they'll tell the department of whatever, whoever's trying to contact them, to pound sand, because they don't have time for this crap. And it's owned by the trust, and then you've got to get a hold of the trustee, which is like a year process, so you can see them coming, because they basically have to send a letter of transparency, and the only person who could do that's the federal government, which gives you a year to move your assets. So, see what I mean? So it really gives you a lot of shield, as opposed to any exchange. All exchanges could pull your crypto overnight, and there's nothing you can do about it. And even hardware wallets, they could track them to hardware wallets. So what I recommend doing is building your structure and then having your trust put them in hardware wallets through your trust, because then it would take a major push by the FBI and the NSA to even figure out who you are. And then even once they did figure out who you are, the only way they're going to put in this much time and effort is if you did like some serious crimes. And then you're screwed. I mean, you're screwed at that point. But for 99.999999999% of you, you're never going to do anything a fraction of that bad. So as opposed to just having it out there willy-nilly in your own name where it can get scooped up at any time. There's been people who's had their crypto, the government has seized control of their crypto for accounting errors, for taxes that they didn't actually owe. Governments are coming after crypto in massive fashion right now because it's the most popular thing, and it's not hidden, it's not anonymous. But if you've got Wyatt Earp LLC, they're not going to know to look for you. So anyway, that's what I recommend you check out. Set up your crypto the right way. If you haven't already, check out the first link down below. Get your business going right now. Have an amazing day. Make sure you check back on this channel every day. We're doing daily videos for the rest of the year. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up. Let me know down below if you are setting up a structure for your crypto, or if you're just putting your name, what you're doing and what you're looking at for crypto, because the central bank is coming, and it's coming for your cash. Unfortunately, the worldwide central bank, because they want to usher in the Fed coin. Appreciate you guys checking this out. Go all in everything you do, and I'll see you in the next video.